you see how it changed?
Yeah.
We're ready? Okay. Are we set? Did everyone get something to drink? We're good? We're awake now? Or back awake? So, at the end of the last presentation, just don't hit him in the head, okay? Remember we talked about a goal. Do you all have goals?
Yeah.
What are goals?
Something you want to achieve in life.
Something he wanted to achieve in life. Right here. Good. Anyone? Another example. Who else?
Something you put your mind to.
Something you put your mind to. What else?
Standards.
Standard. You're right, though. They are standards. For example, if you have a goal, someone share with me what their goal is.
Originality.
What's that?
Originality.
Your goal is to be original. That's a good goal. I like that. What else?
Finish school.
Finish school. Usually you can tell if someone's in high school because then it's about school. Right? That's a lot of the students I work with, their goal is to get done with school, to graduate. That's the first goal. Right? Then after that, do you have goals after that? What do you want to do after that?
Mechanics.
Be a mechanic? Good. Have you looked at schools yet? Not yet. See, in the next 2 years, if you're a sophomore, then I'm sure your teachers will start talking with you about that. Have you done a dual credit yet? Yeah? Who'd you do it with? San Juan College? Online? Online. Okay. All right. See, some of you aren't there yet, okay? But this young man, he's talking about goals. And I'm assuming they talk with you about goals at CYB, right? Okay. See, we talk with our students about goals too. Most people that are successful or who achieve things, they always do it with goals. When I was growing up, it was always about, well, what are you going to do? What's next? In fact, if you look traditionally, when you say a prayer, when you say your prayer in the morning in Navajo, it's about setting your goals for the day. Right? How many of you stayed with your grandparents? Raise your hand. Stay with grandparents. Okay, a couple of you. Okay? Well, my grandma used to tell me, get up. Make your bed. And this would be at 5 in the morning. Get up. You're supposed to be out when the sun's about to come out. Okay? What's that?
Go run.
Go run. That was it. Go run. Or, yes. Run, yell. When you're out there, you're supposed to yell to the east, remember? Woo! One of my daughters has had a canal done. You run east and you yell really loud. I can't remember what you yell, right? Because you want the yell really loud, huh? Yeah, the spiritual people, they hear you. That's why they say yell really loud in the morning when you're running. Okay. So we're gonna talk a little bit about it. We'll kind of help you all set some goals moving forward. Because I tell you what, how many of you remember when January 1, everyone is always talking about what? New Year's resolution. Is a resolution a goal? It is, but people just say, my resolution is to lose weight. Right? Go to the gym. My resolution is to eat less. Eat healthier. A lot of times when we say this, it is a goal, but you know what we don't do? We don't follow through. So Planet Fitness just opened up in Farmington. They said that they sold 1,000 memberships. But when you go and look in there, there's always only like 40 people in there. It was only busy the first week, the first month. After that, everyone's like, it's too busy. Well, remember earlier we talked about why it's hard to do things? You know why it's hard for us to keep to our goals? Because of this thing in between my ears. What's in between my ears? Your brain. A lot of times that prevents us from doing stuff. Okay? So let's take a look at this. So remember how we talked about objectives at our school? I make sure our teachers have this. Daily learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, by the end of this 45, 50-minute presentation, recognize the importance of setting goals. Some of you already said why it's important. Be able to identify at least one long-term, medium, and short-term goal. Understand how to create goals using the SMART approach. By the way, at NAPI, back in December, we had a strategic planning session, and this is what we focused on right here. We created SMART goals. The whole 80, it was about 80 people there, managers, and we set SMART goals. Be able to write your own SMART goals and develop a basic action plan. See, that is what New Year's resolutions forget to do. They forget to put into actions. You know what actions are? To do it. If you look at Navajos, if you go to the east, is it in Zacatecas? You go to the east, you think about it. The south, I can't remember what it was, but I think it's planning. Then the west is actually living. Then the north is readjusting. That's exactly that's why a lot of times the way we were taught this, but then Balagana said, oh, this is what we call them SMART goals. Okay? I know, it's funny, right? Because here we've been doing this for hundreds of years. We do it in our daily routines, but they call them SMART goals. So the tragedy in life doesn't lie, and this is a quote, okay, by Benjamin Mays. Does not lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. So if you don't have a goal, what does this mean? What does this mean if you don't have a goal? That's it. Do you guys know where you're going? Take a moment to think really quick. Close your eyes. In 5 years, where do you want to be? Imagine this. Where do you want to be? Okay, open them back up. What did some of you think? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to be doing? Did you do it? No? Okay, do it really quick. Ready? Close your eyes. In 5 years. How old are you?
20.
You're 20 already?
Kidding.
Oh, you'll be 20. So 14, so 19. What do you want to be doing when you're 19? Military? Do you know what you need to do to get there? What do you need to do? The number one thing is what? There it is. You have to graduate. Okay? Actually, there's a lot of things you have to do. But with SMART goals, you break them down by 1 year segments. Actually, 1 week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years. Does that make sense? That way you hold yourself accountable through each step. But that's really what this quote is saying. And I like that quote because it's really true. Otherwise, in life, you're kind of just, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this. How many, remember we talked about video games. What's the goal of a video game? What? Don't die. What else? Finish the mission. But aren't there stages? There's stages. How many lives do you get when you start going? How many? 3? How many attempts? I know Candy Crush, don't you get 10? You start with 5 per day and it resets, right? Let's say, what game should we use as an example? Because Candy Crush? But there's levels you go through, right? Is it okay if you fail on a video game?
Yes.
Yes. Because on Candy Crush, I don't know, it took me like 10 days to complete level, I think it was 347. I'm like, dang it. I was just cussing at my phone. Oh! Right? Do you sit there, you're playing a video game and you don't pass it and you just cuss, you're like, oh. Right? You know what? In life you can do that. If you fail today, can you redo it again? Yes. Yes. Obviously there's some things you can't do over and over, like break the law. Those are ones that you can't do though, right? A lot of times there's no do-overs for those. But there's things that we can. If I forget to make my bed this morning, can I make it tomorrow? Yep. Yes, in fact, that was one of the things that I think my grandma always said was, always make your bed. Right? Every day. I remember her saying that the Creator is going to look at it and to see if your house is in order. Because you pray, and if your life's in order, then you get blessed. Does that make sense? Okay? Goal setting puts you in the driver's seat. Does that make sense though? Because who controls your goal? You do. Because guess whose game you're playing? Yourself. You're playing your game. Whatever your game is, you're the one setting it. Okay, you're setting your levels. You're setting your missions. So you getting through your sophomore year is your level 1. Actually, you're probably on level 10 because you're in 10th grade. So if you finished 9 levels, 12th? 11th grade, so you finished 10 levels. Does that make sense? Yes. How many credits do you have?
18.
18. Wow, you're ahead then. By the way, when you get to high school, I don't know how many credits in Arizona you need to graduate, but in New Mexico you need 24 credits to graduate. So how many levels is 24 credits? 24. But if you think about it, you break it down smaller, that's 48 classes. Okay, do you see how you break it down really small? And we'll go through that here in a bit. Goal allows you to take control. Goals give you something to look forward to. When you accomplish in a level, one of the levels in Grand Theft Auto, what do you feel?
Excited.
What, excited? What else?
Nervous?
You just go, yes!
Yes.
What else?
I want to go run over some people.
Go run over some people. But you know what? There are these people that research the brain. And they say when you accomplish a step in your goal, you know what it releases in your head? An endorphin. You know what endorphin is? It's that feeling whenever you go, yes. Like he said, yes. Remember when he finished the goal? When you finish, that's why you love these video games. You know why? Because you accomplished something. How many of you play basketball? Everyone. When you made your first left-hand layup, didn't you feel good?
Nope.
No?
I never did one.
You haven't made a left-hand layup? But think about this, Joe. How many times did you go over and over for right? 2 times? You already knew?
Not really.
Because you know what? A lot of times the brain, your body doesn't know how to do that. But imagine your left-hand layup. Didn't you have to go over? I coach basketball too. Because at first it's a jump stop and then you shoot with your left hand. Then you go to the next one. Then you're like going like this. Slowly. Actually, you're going like this first. Then the next is then you're making a real layup left-handed. But don't you do it over and over and over? Right? You know what that's called? Repetition. So if you were to make what you guys are doing the same every day, make it repetitive, like if you continue to set goals and you cross off these little check marks, what is released in your head? What did I call it? Endorphins. Isn't it the body? Because you know what happens is your body's being rewarded for doing something that you set your mind to. And we're the only mammals that happens to. We're the only mammals on Earth that an endorphin is released when we do something that we set our mind to. Okay? Goals create a challenge. When you play a game, isn't it a challenge to beat that level? It's not easy, is it? That's the thing about goals. A lot of times, you don't set a goal. Oh, look, he's wearing a champion. Remember we were talking about champion? I just saw his champion shirt, hoodie. But whenever you think about your goals, if you don't make it harder the next year, what do you think happens? Do you just, you're staying in the same place, right? But the other thing too is, when you already beat level 99 on your video game, do you feel good? You feel good? Or you do? Or do you? Like level 99, you've already beat it. Do you get that yes feeling? Or do you just automatically like, oh yeah, I already beat it? Know what you do? I already beat it. You don't get excited. But the thing about video games is, isn't it harder the next level? You level up. Is that what you say? Oh, I leveled up. I know some of you go online and get the cheats. How many use cheats? Some of you, when you can't do it by yourself, right? How many of you watch YouTube videos to see how someone else got through it? Check this out. Look at that. I do that too. I YouTube everything for my goals. Even fixing a vehicle, yes. You YouTube a video to watch how to do it, and then don't you feel good after you finish your vehicle? Because one, you don't have to pay somebody, right? But it feels good. Okay? Do you see what I'm talking about levels in video games? If it wasn't hard, you guys wouldn't do it. Here's the thing too. When you play basketball, if it wasn't hard, if there wasn't a winner or a loser, would you be doing it? No. When you win a basketball game, guess what's released in your brain? Endorphin. It's called an endorphin. It's a little chemical. You know what's crazy? I'll be honest with you about this. People take drugs because of that endorphin. Isn't that crazy? If you run a race, when the action of running, when I'm done with the workout, I have a little drop of endorphin in my head, in my brain. Then I feel good. When you win a basketball game and you win, you're like, that action, you're going, yes, a little chemical was released in your brain for you to feel good. You know why that chemical was put there? For you to constantly improve yourself. You see why I'm saying? We're the only mammal on Earth that has that endorphin release, because do you see a hyena improving its life? Yeah. No. A hyena has fight or flight. That's all it's trained to do. If it's attacked, it'll attack or it'll retreat. We're the only mammals that can be like, let me see how I can do better. Let me see how I can improve. Do you see what I'm talking about? So, that's what that last bullet point is saying is, if it wasn't challenging, you guys wouldn't do it. Okay? And if you know how, for example, do you like card tricks? Guys? Do you guys like card tricks? Do you do card tricks? Who used to? How did you learn to do that? YouTube. You now tell me something. Did you do it over and over, that trick? You guys do card tricks? No? I know, I saw. That's why I was like, do you do card tricks though? No? By the way, do you think about it? We play cards for a reason, right? What do you think the reason is? Well, first of all, before that. Huh? Not just that, but you know what? Why? No. Take it back a little bit back further.
Bored.
No. To win. Don't you play cards or speed or whatever you play to beat somebody else? Yes. When you play solitaire, what's the goal? To win. We don't do things just for the heck of it. These guys up here play video games to level up. School is about leveling up. He's working. He has 18 credits. That is really good. That means he needs 6 credits to graduate. Okay? I'm sure he has goals written down somewhere. Okay? So here's the type of goals that we have in our life that we set. Family and home. Did you know one of my goals I set this year? My wife posted it on Facebook. Is to be the best father. That's one of my goals. Family and home. I have friends that say to eat dinner every night with my family. Or no cell phones at the table. Last night we were at P.F. Chang and I had to tell my daughter, put your phone away. We have little limits on her iPhone. It'll say 20 minutes for TikTok per day. 20 minutes for Snapchat per day. That's it. Okay? That's a goal, right? Because we're trying to make sure that she meets that goal. Financial and career. Remember the previous presentation was about financial goals. We didn't talk about that. It'd be too much if I started having you guys do financial goals because I tell you what, I work on financial goals with adults and they're like, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Spiritual and emotional. You know, some people set goals. I'm going to pray every day. Not just when I need the Creator, but every day. Think about it. Do some people go to church every Sunday or they go to, on Tuesdays if you're Catholic? Wednesday nights, Mass. Wednesday Mass. Or I think kids, they call it CCD classes. Right? Okay? Physical health. You know I have a health goal? You know what my health goal is? I actually don't have a lose weight goal. My goal is to run 2 miles 5 to 6 consecutive days and take a day off. 5 or 6 consecutive days, take a day off. Okay? Sometimes my wife has to tell me, have you taken a break? Because you know what I want to do? Guess what my brain tells me to do? Get up. 6 o'clock, run. Rain, snow, or shine. 2 weeks ago I ran and it was like 0 degrees. I have a goal. I have a goal in every one of these. I also have a social and cultural goal. My wife posted this one back in January. You know what my goal for social is? To reach 1 million people this year. To impact 1 million people. That's a lot of people, right? I YouTube. I have Facebook. I have Instagram. I have Twitter. I post things about stuff that I'm talking with you guys about weekly, daily. Last year on my Facebook, I reached 500,000 people. Do you see why I set my goal as 1 million? Because guess what happens when I reach 1 million next year? What's released? Endorphin, not morphine. By the way, remember how I said earlier? Remember I said the drug? There's actually, whenever there's dopamine, there's all these type of chemicals that are, I think there's like 4 or 5 chemicals, right? But, an endorphin is released, and dopamine is one of them. Okay? But I can't get too deep in that with you guys because a lot of you haven't had biology. He's had biology. He'd understand if I talk with him. Okay, do you remember we talked about leveling up? That's leveling up. You guys got to get to a level where I can talk with him like I would talk with all of you. It's called differentiation. So your teachers talk about that too, okay? All right. Educational goals. I don't have any educational goals right now. Why do you think? I've achieved the highest level of education I could. Actually, lately I've been wanting to go back and get a master's in accounting. But I'm looking into it. Do you see how I'm starting? Okay? But guess what happens once you start setting goals? Once I accomplish it, guess what my body wants to feel? That little chemical, that endorphin. Oh, I did it. Because it makes me feel good inside. It makes my body feel good. Do you see how this all works? When you guys get to biology, your science teacher, your biology teacher will talk with you. Actually, I think it is biology. You'll talk about these things. It's kind of cool how it all works, though. Okay? Goals. Work out what you want, beginning with the end in mind. In business and education, this is called backward planning. But if you think about it, when you play a video game, what's the end product you want? To what? I guarantee you this. I bet you all of you go through the game, you do the best you can, but you know what's in the end? To complete that level. But you know what you do? You start, you make mistakes, you die, you hit a car, you hit somebody on Grand Theft Auto, right? You crash. Guess what you get? You get a do-over. In life, we get do-overs. And here's the thing, I will bet you guys that I failed at more levels than each of you. But you know what? You know what they say is, if you don't try, you will never know. So if you guys are really good at video gaming, if you're really good at basketball, you can take those same things to life. Goal setting. Work out what you need to do to turn a dream into reality. Remember, a goal is just a dream. Remember earlier I told you guys, close your eyes. Think about what you want to do, what you want to be, the person you want to be. Remember on the earlier slide right here? Imagine in each of these areas a goal that you have. How you see yourself. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? Remember, it starts with the dream. Then you take that dream and you set little tiny goals along the way. So then if you reach each of those little goals, guess what happens? What goes off in your head? Endorphin. Ooh, I did it. You know, remember how I talked about 1 million people reached? If I take 1 million and divide it by 12, what did I just create? How many months are there in a year? 12. Who has a calculator? What's 1 million divided by 12? 80? 85,000? Hurry, someone has a calculator. No one has a calculator? I bet it's about 90. By 12, because 12 months. 83. Guess what? You know what? I just broke my goal down. That means in 1 month, I have to reach 83,000 people. How many months are there that have passed? 2 months. So I should be at 166,000 people. I'm actually at 189,000 people. Guess what happened the first month in my brain? Endorphin. Guess what happened at the end of, that's going to happen at the end of February, because I'm already over my goal. February ends when? Next week. Guess what's going to happen in my head? Endorphin. If I was to divide 1 million divided by 52, because how many weeks are there in a year? 52 weeks. I can break it down even farther. Okay? Do you see why you have to have little tiny benchmarks, little tiny goals? What it is you guys want to happen, okay? Career goals. when you become an adult, I mean, I'm sure you have a career goal, right? He already said it. He wants to be a mechanic. Okay? The type of workplace you want to work on. On your piece of paper, what type of job would you want to have? Write it down. Write it down. Think about it. I have kids that want to be gamers. I have a student that I taught that is a professional gamer, and he's a junior. He gets sent to Vegas to play games. That cool? Is that crazy?
No.
I think it's crazy. He gets paid to play video games. He plays online with people like all over the world, but he's like in the top 50 in the world at gaming. He showed me a check for one of the months that he gamed. He made $1,600 for gaming. Part of it is he has a YouTube channel too, and people watch how he gets through levels. Okay? Pretty crazy. Write your career goal down. Did you write a goal down?
Yeah.
What's your goal?
To also be a gamer.
What's that?
To also be a gamer.
Oh, how about you? Oh, you don't have a pen? Can you borrow your pen? Make sure you write it down. Don't forget, if you don't write your goal down, you don't have something to go for. But part of the goal setting is to tell people what your goal. Remember I told you my wife put it out on social media? So guess what people ask me? Hey, how many people have you reached? But I can tell them now. Right? That's called people holding you accountable. If you fail, guess what people sometimes do? That was a dumb goal. You failed. But you know what? Is it okay if we fail? Yes. Remember, how many times does it take for you to get through a level that's hard on a game?
Like one check.
What? You get through it every time? The first time? What game do you play? What's your favorite game?
L4.
Teleport?
L4.
L4?
You say it. Halo 4.
Halo 4. Halo 4. So I know you don't go through on one live, do you?
No, I just play the other in my grandma's house. It's still silent.
But do you lose on it sometimes?
A
No?
little bit.
A little bit? Or a lot? Because if you lose a little bit, guess where you should be? If you lose just a little bit, you should be in Las Vegas playing professionally. That's honestly, this kid that I was talking with you about, he could get through any game like in 1 or 2 lives. Because you have to be good at multiple games. 15! That means he failed 15 times, but he's still going. You know how many little businesses I've started? I only shared the good ones with you guys. I've had businesses that I've tried that didn't even work. I'm like, I lost money. Like, I've failed a lot, but I know what not to do. When you fail, don't you know what not to do? You know someone's going to get you right there, right? You know, like, you know that there's going to be, like, someone standing on Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yep.
But do you see what I'm talking about? Right? Failing is okay. That's why I said, I bet you I failed more than all of you combined. But the thing is, I know what not to do now. That's why failing is important. Okay? The size of the team you want to work with. If you want to work in a customer service job, talk about that. What type of relationship do you want? These are all things you have to think about as far as a job. Amount of computer work. If you wanted to be a gamer, think about, because he wrote down. By the way, you know what they say if you want to be a professional gamer. Anytime you're not doing something, you have to be practicing 8 to 14 hours per day at it.
I only go for 5 hours a day.
5 hours? You're not quite a professional gamer then.
Well, I'm good at games.
Okay. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, this kid, honestly, he's like sleeps for like 5 hours. It's not good for him. But he gets paid. Okay? But that's kind of how you have to look at it, okay? Do you guys think about the type of clothes you want to wear? I texted Erickson last time. I'm like, are you here yet? No. Remember earlier I said I forgot my suit? Like, I like to dress nice, like with a suit. And I have a couple of suits that I really like. But you have to think about those things. When I was younger, I used to want like Justin boots, like ropers, right? Nice Wrangler jeans, okay? But they change as you get older, okay? Hours you want to work. Do you want to work all day long? Do you want to work a couple hours a day? Things like that. But think about that as far as career. SMART goals. Remember on one of the very first slides? It said a SMART goal. Okay? Now, here's what it means. Is your goal specific? Remember, my wife shared 2 goals. What was the first one? Be the best father it can be. That was kind of actually very broad. Is 1 million people specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Because remember, the previous year I said I reached 500,000 people. Can I reach 500,000 or 1 million? Yes. Is it actionable? Can I take action on that goal? That means every day I have got to be doing something to reach that goal. That's why I'm saying professional gamers, they spend 8 to 14 hours per day getting better. I bet you they fail a lot because that's where they learn what not to do. Okay? R, realistic. If I only reach 500,000 and I said, oh, my goal is going to be 100 million people, is that realistic?
No.
That's like way over. Guess what I'm going to set myself up for? Failure. But the other thing too is, let's say I failed 6 out of the next 8 months. Let's say half of it. Let's say 4 out of the next 10 months. That's only 4 times. If I reach 750,000 people, did I still improve? Because I went from 500 to what? 750. Do you see how I still gained? I'm higher than I was before, which is better. Do you think I'll still have an endorphin release? Yes. Because it's just that I improved. That's where the endorphin is released. Okay? And then the last one, is it tangible? Time. What did I say? What was the time that I gave myself? Who remembers? 1 year. You guys see how these goals work? So for my goal to be the best dad, guess what that means? That means I coach my daughter. I have to take her to soccer practice. I have to take her to tennis practice. Do you see how there's all these little things that happen? Does that make sense? That means eat, and I break that down to daily. Guess what I do? I make her breakfast in the morning. I also make her a peanut butter sandwich for her to go to lunch. I drop her off at school. I pick her up after school. You see how I kind of like in my head, because I set goals so much, I have these little goals that I make them into habits where I just do it automatically. Okay? Be specific. Who, what, where, when, which, and why. When your goals are being written, it has to be specific. Remember how I said you can't just say, to be healthy. Why won't be healthy work? Too vague. I didn't say how many hours. Don't forget, remember when I told you my health goal? Just 2 miles. 2 miles each day. Is that specific? I didn't say 14 miles. I said 2. But here's what happens. Because I run 2 miles each day, once it comes May, I typically run the Shiprock Marathon, 13.1 miles. Because you know what happens to my body? You remember just like when you all game, I tell you what, I guarantee you I cannot jump in and start gaming like you all do for an hour. Guess what's going to happen to my thumb? I'm going to get cramps. I won't be able to do a thumbs up. I tried it. My daughter said, Dad, let's play. This was over Christmas break. I played for her for 30 minutes and I got a little callus right here on my finger. Do you see how that works? But if I That's why I said 2 miles each day. I usually run the Shiprock Marathon. I run the Duke City Marathon. I run 2 marathons in Durango, half marathons, 13 miles. But just because 2 miles each day, within a week, I'll try to take one day off. Remember, talk about that? Okay? So whenever you're writing your goals, make sure they're specific. You have got to break it down really small so you know that you accomplished it. Like him, he knows his goal is graduate. Right? He knows he wants to be a what? A mechanic. Don't forget. What about basketball? Take a look at her basketball. What's the first goal in basketball? Make the team. After you make the team, what's the goal after making the team? What's the level up from there? You want to start. Right? So I think those have to be done, right? Don't you have to do a layup before you can make the team? If you can't do a layup, guess what happens? You won't make the team. Trust me, I remember I had to cut players in 8th grade. If they couldn't do a left-hand layup, guess what I had to do? I had to write why I cut a player. Not consistently make a left-hand layup. The reason why I gave specific feedback to students was so that they can work on something. Guess what I just created? A goal for a student. If I just cut a student without letting them know what they needed to improve on, they don't know what to work on. Do you know what I do with my staff? I work with them with goals. Well, what's your goal this year? What do we want to do as a school? Right? The beginning of the year, my wife and I, we talk about, well, where should we go this year? Like as a trip. Because we plan it. My wife is always about 4 months down the road. I'm like, I'm just worried about today. Just today. But she like really works into like every time she's always on time too. She's like 8 o'clock. She's here at 7:50. Right? She's always she keeps me on track. Remember how we talked about these goals help us be accountable? My wife holds me accountable. She said, well, you said you were going to do this. I was like 10 minutes late picking up my daughter. Well, you said you were going to be there. Sometimes you need people to hold you accountable for your goals, okay? Measurable. Ask questions like how much, how many, how often. My running goal, did I answer every one of these questions? How much did I want to run each day? How many times? 6 times. 5 to 6 times in a row. How often? Once a weekday. You see how this works? You know what? When I used to play basketball, I actually stopped playing when I turned. I stopped playing tournaments when I turned 39 because I had to take Advil because I was getting bumped around a lot because it's a physical game, right? So I stopped playing basketball because I was getting tired of taking Advil. If I played on a Sunday, I had to take Advil Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because I was all achy. But when I was playing, I would go to the gym and work on shots. Shoot. Play pickup games, tournaments on weekends. You see how that repetition? I was constantly doing stuff. I knew I had to get to the gym to shoot.
How often do you reevaluate your goals?
Weekly. I check on them. I write stuff down with them. I'm constantly looking. That's how I know I'm at 186,000 people so far for these first 2 months for my 1 million goal. But you have to have things in place to see if you're doing it. Okay? Any questions so far? Questions? Okay. On the bottom it says, instead of, remember how we talked about, oh, my goal is to lose weight. What should it be? Look at the bottom. 10 kilograms, which is about 3 pounds. Yes?
I know what a goal would be for my boys.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday they wrote, let's say, 3 pages of notes.
Uh-huh.
So I told them today outdo that. So that could be their goal.
That could be their goal of the day.
Maybe 5, 6
Yeah.
pages.
So, for writing, you know what they say? For writing, they say the goal is to write a sheet on a full page each day because you make it a habit. That's the thing about goals is you have to make them a habit. So that in your mind, you're constantly doing it. Like those of you that game, these kids are really good at video games because they made it a habit of doing it over and over and over. And what happens is you guys have actually taught yourself that failure is okay, which it is, right? But we just need to take that to our lives and say, oh, it'll be okay to fail, okay? So, I can't remember who it was. Oh, Stephen King. So Stephen King, when he writes, and I read this, when he first started writing, his goal every day is just to write for 20 minutes straight. That's it, just 20 minutes, not like 2 hours. His goal is 20 minutes every day, no matter what, just writing. And that's how he's able to write these big old books. Do you guys know who Stephen King is? It, right? And have you read his books? Cujo. They're like this thick, aren't they? They're like 1,200 pages.
They're scary.
And they're scary. But that's what it takes, is just making these little micro things and making them into habits. Because in our brain, here's the thing, and educators, we know these kids want routine, right? You guys want routine. Do you guys get up the same time every day? You try to, right? Well, my daughter back there, Marley, she goes to bed at between 8 and 9 every day, but she wants to be woke up every day at 6. Every day. Then she goes through her little routine to get ready. That's what we have to do. And when you play basketball, you get into a routine. Doesn't your coach kind of do the same thing each day? Right? Well, when I coached basketball, you know what the first half of practice was? No running. When I coach, we don't do running because we run through the whole practice. It's working on your basics. Behind your back, between your legs, right hand dribble, left hand dribble, double dribble, both hands. Well, 2-ball dribble is what I call it. 2-ball dribble like this, alternating, right behind your back, over, zigzags. Until the second half, then we start looking at team practices. We don't even scrimmage. When I coach, I try not to have kids scrimmage because it's about basics. When you look at NBA players in college, and the only reason I know that I have a brother there that played in college. And it was all about basics. Usually the last 15, 20 minutes of a practice, that's when you start getting into plays. Okay? Same thing. I didn't say this earlier, but I played football in college, and it was all about repetition. Our practice were structured. Same thing every day. We broke into individual, defense, whole team. Every day was the same. But that's how these goals have to be set up. You have to make them a habit for yourself. Okay? Create a clear action plan. The action plan is what little things do you have to do to get your goal. And a lot of times the parents are the ones that help you all. Adults, even though we don't like to listen to our adults and teachers, you have to listen because I know what you need to do. But do you? Does that make sense? Your parents probably don't know what to do to be a gamer, right? Okay? But for basketball, it's your coach that helps you. It's your teacher. They're the ones, your parents or your dorm. They know what you need to do to get your goals. And a lot of times, do you all communicate to your parents and your teachers what your goal is?
Yep.
Okay? I'm sure you do, right? Okay? Don't forget, begin with end in mind. This is called backward. If I look at it, and I'll be honest with you, one goal that I first set when I was growing up was, I was an 8th grader and I had a coach come up to me. He said, Des, remember when I asked you guys close your eyes? He had me do this. He said, where do you want to be in 4 years? And you know what I said? I want to play college football. I imagined myself playing football in college. So what did I do? He sat down with me. 9th grade year, what do you need to do? Make the team. Go to camps. Before I even thought about football, what do I have to do? Make the grades. Come to school. Don't get in trouble. Because that's what makes me eligible to play sports, right? After that, go to football camp. After that, make the JV as a freshman, which is really hard to make JV as a freshman. Especially in Farmington where I played, and you have 150 kids come out for football, and there were only 5 Navajos on our football team out of 150. Next year, as a sophomore, be a starter on JV. And then if I didn't have these goals in my head, something to work for, would I have got that goal? No. But I did. I played football at Fort Lewis College. I got a scholarship, but it started with the goals where I had to break them down weekly, monthly. Guess what else had to be put in there? Go to the gym and work out. Lift weights, squats, jumping jacks. All of those things. Remember how it says, but what was the end goal that I wanted? To play college football. Then I had to go and fill in senior, junior year, 10th grade, 9th grade, 8th grade, all the way back and backwards. Okay? Your action plan should consist of manageable steps. Remember I talked about our brain. What does our brain want? What does our body want? Endorphins release, so we feel that, I did something. See, when I went to a football camp, it was a little check off my list. The very first football camp I went to was in Durango. It was called the Four Corners Football Camp. Check off. Because here's what happened. I competed with other kids older than me, and I beat them. Remember I talked about this. When we beat and we win, that endorphin is released. Even if we lose, then we just like, I got to go work harder. I lost, though. I lost some. So guess what that made me want to do? Fight. Go to the gym and work out. Get stronger. Eat, drink milk, even though Navajos are lactose intolerant. You know, it gives they said that 80% of Navajos or Indians or Native Americans are lactose intolerant, and it gives us gas. So I just be gassed up walking around, even though I was drinking my milk. Okay? But do you see what I'm talking about? All these little things. Okay? My second camp that I went to University of Arizona. I went to a football camp. Guess what in my head? What happened? Endorphin. Released. I checked off something on my list. Okay? Realistic. Your goal is probably realistic if you truly believe it can be accomplished. Okay? That's the one where you work with your coach. You talk with your teacher. Is this a realistic goal? Even if it's above, remember the goal you're in our body wants us to do better. Is it above? In education, it's called a zone of proximal development. A little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. Remember, when you play video games, when you level up, does it get easier or is it harder? Harder. When you play basketball, 8th grade, is 9th grade basketball harder than 8th grade? Is 10th, is C, well, we have C team. Is C team harder? Yeah. Is JV harder than 8th grade? Is it harder than freshman basketball? It is. It levels up. Is college basketball harder than high school basketball? Yes. Okay. Make it tangible, time framed. A goal is tangible when you can experience it with one of the senses. Who remembers what the senses are? Taste, see, hear, smell, touch. Okay? Tangible. Can you see the goal? Can you sense it? Remember, these are the things about the actions. Those little actions you do each day. Remember when I talked about lifting weights? Is that tangible? Can I feel it? Can I feel when you're playing? When you're leveling up, can you see what's going on your level? Yes. Everyone understand what I'm saying? Okay. Just double checking. The goal is more successful if it has a time frame. Remember my 1 million reach goal? Time frame. What's the time on that? 1 year. Okay? What's getting in your way? This is what we talked about. Remember in the other presentation about money? A lot of times, what gets in our way? Lack of skills. Remember I told you about when I first went to camp, I won some, but I lost some? Guess what I didn't have enough of when I lost? I didn't have enough skills. Or not only that, but as a freshman, was I as big as the other kids? No. Guess what? Then in my head, guess what I had to do? Start lifting weights. That's why I was eating more meat, eating more, drinking more milk. That's why I said that earlier. Okay, because I needed to get, I didn't have the skills yet. Not only that, but knowledge. I was going against juniors. Had they played in more football games than I had? Yes. Okay. Fear. How many times you guys are afraid to do things? How many? Raise your hand if you're afraid to do something to your goals. Right? We should all raise our hands. Because sometimes fear. I was talking with my staff yesterday because they're like, oh, we're afraid of doing it. Because that's fear. Why are you afraid? Think about it.
A failure?
A failure, yeah.
Mine's probably not being prepared.
Not being prepared? Yeah. But do you know what they say fear is? They say it's false evidence appearing real. So guess what our brain is telling us? It's false. Oh my gosh, I can't. Like he said, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. It's his brain that's telling him you're not ready. Okay? But here's the thing though. You know, fear helps us as well. It helps us to prevent us from getting what? Injured. Right? That's what fear does. We're actually one of the only mammals that experiences fear and can do something about it. But remember, other mammals, it's what? Fight or flight. They're either going to attack or run away. Remember when a dog gets hit, it goes, "Rrr, rrr, rrr," runs off, right? Or it'll growl and get at you, right? Low motivation. What is motivation? Self-confidence. What else is low motivation? How about energy? What's that? Good, look at that. Always thinking negative. Oh, I can't do that. Negative self-talk. That's what it's called. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. That's where it says skills. How about not having a starting point, not knowing where to start? A lot of times we have adults in our lives. Remember I told you about my coach? He sat me down and I wrote it out with him. Remember what you guys wrote on your paper? What career did you put down? Okay? So that's where you take your career goal and you talk with your counselor, your teacher. Because a lot of times as teachers we're like, well, what do you want to do? If you don't know what you want to do, it's kind of hard to make a connection. Okay? Procrastination. Do we know what that word means? What does it mean?
Saying you will do it later.
That's it. Saying you're going to do it later. How many do that? We all do. Later, this afternoon. I just did it. My wife's like, go get the car registered. I'll do it later. I'll do it next week.
But guess what? That's my motivation.
Procrastination?
Yeah, I can get it done.
Yeah, like I got it hurt now. It has to be done, right? Okay? Procrastination is putting it off later. What happened if I wouldn't have lifted? I would have stayed on the team, but I wouldn't have made the starting team. Right? Remember how I said I try to run 2 miles every day? If I don't run 2 miles every day, what happens in May when it's time to run the Shiprock Marathon? I'm going to be slow. I'm going to be like, I'll be like that anyway. But that's what procrastination is, okay? And then lack of self-belief. Actually, someone said this earlier. Low self-esteem, I think he said up here. But that's that self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself, it's kind of hard to do it. But sometimes, a lot of these things, if you can put these in order, guess what happens to your self-belief? It starts to what? Go up. For example, these two up here, if you keep winning, what starts to happen with your self-belief? It goes better. Does that make sense? I mean, some of you play basketball right there, right? When you win, what happens to yourself? You feel good. Why do you think in your head you feel good? Because what's released in your head? Endorphins. Do you see how that works out? Because you feel good about what you're doing. What happens if you don't set goals? You wander. You wander around, different jobs, no direction. You're not focused. You just want the pay packet. This one is actually pushing further. We just waste time. Sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm just spinning my wheels," or "You're just spinning your wheels." Right? People say that. These are sayings that adults hear. "Oh, I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm just waiting for my promotion." Okay? All right? Well, the other thing, too, is if you don't set a goal, what happens? Are you going to be motivated to graduate if you don't have a goal? Is that what drives you? Like he knows he's got to get done, right? He wants to become a mechanic. Okay? So, we kind of talked about this. On your piece of paper, write down one of your goals. Something you want to do in the next year. Okay? I'm going to call on some people to share, so be ready. Better write it down. Do you have a pen? Here, let me get you a pen. Okay, what is my goal? Write it down. Anyone else need a pen?
What's your
So the second question, once you have a goal, how can you achieve it? List some things you need to do to accomplish your goal. If it's varsity, remember you have to pass classes. If it's a gamer, got to put in the hours. By the way, yeah.
It's also important to write it down,
Yeah,
rather than just think about it.
right, absolutely. That's the key. If you write it down, you're actually a lot further along than people that don't write their goals down. If you write it down, you know in your head, but you have something to do. You're going to start to hold yourself accountable. Okay?
And post it where you can see it every day.
Exactly. Post it.
Motivation.
Yep.
You know, one time last year I did a paper plate game
Uh-huh.
with the adults, and they wrote all this stuff about having my name in the center. So when I filled down and out, that plate, I look in my room and I'm like, okay, you are worth something.
Yep.
Because you know that just remotivates me.
Yeah. Remember, the goal. Is it a challenge? Think about it. Ask yourself, is it pushing yourself? If it's about learning to do more card tricks, right? Maybe you guys should talk with Brian Yazzie too. He's a Navajo
Oh, I know.
magician.
Brian.
Do you really?
Yeah, he came to teach.
Did he go to the school? He's pretty cool, huh? We should call him and tell him to come and present. No, seriously though, like that's how we did it. If you hear his story, like he keeps doing his card tricks over and over and over until he gets good at them. Every 2 years, you know what he does? He learns new card tricks. Because do you think everyone's going to like to see his old magic? No. Because that show's already been done. Right? They already saw it. They're not. Remember when you go, oh, wow, that's gone. So he learns new tricks every 2 years. Okay? After you answer the question, is it a challenge? What's the first thing you need? Write 2 or 3 things you need to do to get to that goal. 2 or 3 things. If it's make varsity, what's the first thing you have to do? Go to class. Do homework. What's your first thing you need to do for your goal? Go to classes, right? Wake up. Do your homework. See, there's a lot of things, right? Homework, pass tests, study. Limit your phone. Yep. Anything Remember, you got to write things you have to do. Things you have to do. That way you're kind of building a checklist. And if it's one of those checklists that you have to do daily, guess what you start to do? Oh, did that today. Woke up early, studied, went to class. What else is there? Shower. Yeah. If you want to be clean, yeah. Okay. We done writing? Who needs more time? 2 minutes? We're good? Everyone's done? All right, let's see. Who should we call? We'll do one from each row. Oh, he just covered his, so guess what we'll do? We'll go with you. Here, we'll start with you. What's your goal? What's one goal?
I said my goal is to try to be a gamer when I grow up.
Okay, so what's one thing? So, how do you know how to achieve it?
Yeah, I just need to start playing whenever I can.
Okay. What about, is it a challenge?
Yeah, it will be because I still need to learn a lot more.
Okay. So what's the first couple of things you need to do?
To start practicing.
Start practicing. Okay. Let's see. Who else? You want to go? Okay.
My goal is to achieve life.
To achieve in life? What do you want to achieve, though? Hang on. Quick question. To achieve in life, is that specific?
No.
Okay. What can we do to make it specific?
To make better choices.
Okay. Is to make better choices specific? No, it's still big because it's still open. Can you whittle it to what?
To complete school.
To complete school. Is that pretty good? It's better. Almost. Do you see how you have to get really narrow? Right? How can we make it better? How can we make a better goal? Think about it. Career. Is it career specific? Well, I think completing school is a good one. Now, if you put complete school, what do you have to do?
To make up for tutoring.
There we go. You see how specific it is? To complete school with straight A's. Or to complete school and pass all my classes. Do you see how specific that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else wants to share? You want to share? Yeah. Well, let's hear yours.
Graduate high school.
Graduate high school? Okay.
All A's.
How can I achieve it?
Do all my classes, especially my online.
Okay. Is it a challenge?
Yes, it is. It pushes.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Yes, it is. It pushes me to move forward.
Okay. Do you know what you need to do first? Oh, yeah, I think you already answered that, right?
To commit myself to it.
Good. Oh, do you see that? Commit myself. Do you want to know why that's a challenge? Here's why. Did you know that for natives to graduate, there's a 50% dropout? It's like half of native students drop out of school. You know what that means? That there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 20. That's like saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only these 10 can graduate. Did you see what's happening? That means the other 10 won't graduate. In fact, stand up, all of you. I actually used to do this with my class. Students, stand up. These guys go over here. You two over there. Marley over there. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me have you go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and go over there. Go over there. Now stay here. Is that 10? Let's go and stay here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, 2 more. Go ahead and come over here. 1 more. Come over here. Here's what happens. Come over here. Oh, no, you're good, man. You just made it. Here's what's happening. If you guys don't have goals and you don't do your grades, guess what? This is like only these 10 over here are graduating. So guess what happens over here? Do you see how you kind of are shut out from this side? But guess what? These people that are doing what they're supposed to do, guess what happens? They start going which way? This way. Guess what? These guys are like, I'm not going to fail. So they start clawing their way over here. So then We have 2 people go over here. There we go. Guess these 2 want to graduate. So guess what? Let me have 2 dudes. Let me have you 2 go over here. Do you see how the numbers balance out? And this, by the way, is historical data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoa, guess what? Maybe this year, this many, 11 will graduate. But do you see kind of how this happens? But do you see how it doesn't feel good to know that you might not graduate, right? Which side do we want to be on? Think about it. What side do you all want to be on? Do we want to graduate or not? Go ahead and have a seat now. The nice thing about this is, if you don't graduate, are there other ways to get done? Yes. What is it called? There's GED. Right? There's adult education. Okay? Does everyone understand that? Do you see how you guys are fighting to be on which side? This side. Okay? Put your goals somewhere you can see them. Remember Erickson said this? Remember he said he had a goal and he put it up. So you look at it each day. Make it really nice on a piece of paper. Review your game plan frequently and make adjustments. Reward yourself. Remember what happens whenever you accomplish one of those little goals? Endorphin is released in your head and you're like, yes, I did it. Didn't it feel good to move to the next grade? Right? It does. It feels good to level up in video games. It feels good to make the JV or the 8th grade team as you're leveling up, okay? Discuss and review your plan with this is employee consultant, but you think about it, graduation, your guidance counselor, your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, right? Your teachers. Make revisions. Do we have setbacks in life? We do. We just make adjustments, though. I can adjust my goal. Then I just go back through it again. What is my goal? How can I achieve it? Is it a challenge? And then what do I do first? Just by writing your goal down. Actually, I saw this study once. And it said only 20% of people have goals. Just 20, if there are 100 people in a room, only 20% of people, only 20 people out of the 100 people would have a goal written down. Okay? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Okay? Any questions? Remember, making these things that you're doing a habit. Wake up early. Go on a run. Take care of yourself.